Hey, Genki Call here with your Soulforge offerings for the week of April 11th, 2022. So we are in Forest of Thorns this week, and what we have available, let's go over the legendaries first. We have Hyndla Frostcrown, who does splash damage to an enemy and freezes all affected enemies, and summons a giant troop. She is basically generally not used except in events. But the summons, of course, is very helpful, and all giant allies gain 2 life and magic on 4+ gem matches. So she's good to run with a giant team for sure. Would I spend 800 diamonds on her? No. I would not say to use your diamonds on any legendary unless it's extraordinary, or if it's one that you absolutely have to have for a power level that you're blocked on. And that's entirely personal choice, of course. King Bloodhammer is another that's very good for events, but he's also really good for guild wars and PvP. Do damage to 2 strongest enemies, but more importantly, transform all blue gems to Doom Skulls. And so those Doom Skulls are really good. You pair him with something that creates the blue gems and also creates Doom Skulls. It's just nice, 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 nice. Summons a Doomstorm when an enemy dies and is immune to disease, lycanthropy, and deathmark, which is always nice. Also, we have King Avalorn, who is in the event key drop table right now, so it would be better to try to get him with event keys if you are trying to perhaps get one of the mythics from Forest of Thorns, or you're just trying to get Forest of Thorns troops in general. The nice thing about King Avalorn is that he does give all elf allies a 50% mana start, and that includes the Arachnine Weaver, who is somehow a spider and an elf, and does damage to all enemies and is also a summoner. So we have a theme going here. We've got Hyndla and King Avalorn who both summon. Also, we have Ursuvius from Urskaya? Yes. Does damage to all enemies boosted by burning and enraged allies and enemies. It's only a ×2 boost ratio, but he can be very useful in delves. So he's good for quick delves on those lower levels. Reduce damage from skulls by 50%. 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of the turn. So he's useful, but not super useful. Like I said, I only use him in delves, but occasionally also in world events. All right, as for the mythics, let's start with the one that I forgot to put in the thumbnail, the best one of the bunch, and that is the Scourge of Honor. I love this troop. He does true damage to all enemies, gain 2 mana back for each cursed and diseased enemy, and he curses and disease a random enemy when matching 4+ gems. Now, what I generally use him for, besides quick explores, I put him on a team with High King Irongut for that passive curse ability, because anything that's immune to devour can be devoured if they get cursed first. So I tend to use him for that purpose. There are non-mythics that do the same thing. For instance, Matron Valen can do it. I think Indrajit does a burn and a curse, so there are other options, but I do still love this troop, and he is definitely the best of the bunch for this week's mythics, because the other ones kind of suck. Just to be totally honest here, let's go with Jotnar next. I haven't actually used him. I haven't had him that long. I got him when we were in Stormheim, whenever that was, and I haven't tried him. Deal true damage to 1 enemy boosted by barriered allies and giant allies. So with the ×7 boost ratio, I mean, it can be a chunk of true damage. And he does give a random ally a barrier on 4+ gem matches, which is very, very useful. The only other troop I can think of that does that is actually the Arch Diva. So the barrier is very useful, so he would be good just for that. I wouldn't recommend crafting him unless you've got to get your power level in Stormheim up, but he is at least somewhat useful. And then last of all, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't see Kurandara here either. Oh my gosh. So the 2 best here in the Soulforge, I didn't put on the thumbnail. I put the 2 worst. That's funny. Okay, Shade of Zorn is considered to be one of the worst mythics in the game. I do not own him. I need him for my power level at Groshnak, but he's so useless that yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be spending diamonds on him at this point in my Gems of War journey. Deal damage to an enemy boosted by red allies and skulls. If the enemy dies, summon 2 Fists of Zorn. Now, Fist of Zorn is in the world event right now. She converts yellow gems to skulls and she is empowered. She is actually much more useful than this mythic, in my opinion. Gain 4 mana when I take damage, but he has a 24 mana cost. He is stealthy. Uh, you know, I don't know. So last up we have Kurandara. I actually really like this mythic. I don't use him that often simply because there are a lot of mythics that transform yellow gems to doom skulls, and there are others I like more. But he does damage to an enemy boosted by doom skulls, converts yellow gems to doom skulls, and conjures a doom storm as well. Plus, you get a 50% chance to curse all enemies when matching 4 or more gems. This is another troop that I use for the passive curse ability that I use with High King Irongut when I can't take in the Scourge of Honor or Vashdagon, or I might go with Indrajit or um, Matron Valen instead. It just depends on my mood. So he is immune to all status effects, Devour, Lycanthropy, and Mana Burn, which is super useful in, specific situations. So if, those are what you got here. The rest are always here. And then for weapons, we've got some good stuff. So let's start with the one I don't own, and that is the Bow of Thorns. So the Bow of Thorns is one of those 75 diamond cheapo weapons from this one from Forest of Thorns. Remove all green gems with no buff at all, but it does boost the damage that you do to one enemy. And if they're from Forest of Thorns, deal double damage. I must have it because I must have them all. Must craft them all. All right, so I've been weapon blocked one too many times on my power level, so I'm not going to go that way again. The elemental bow is probably the best weapon in here this week because it does damage to an enemy boosted by elemental allies, and now that we have an elemental class, this has become more powerful than it was before. It was already considered to be really nice. It creates a leaf storm when you cast it, so you'll have plenty of green. You create a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each elemental ally, and there are plenty of elementals that use blue and green for sure. So this is a really nice weapon. Would be the number one that I would recommend for this week as far as weapons go. The Oaken Crown also, I crafted this today while I was making my world event teams, because it does damage to an enemy boosted by Forest of Thorns allies. Of course, we are completely restricted to Forest of Thorns this week. Creates a mix of 6 green and yellow gems for each Forest of Thorns ally. Again, I have to have all of the weapons, so I crafted it, and I like it. It's good, but of course you do have that Forest of Thorns restriction. Bow of Thorns I just created. Hammer of Force, this one also is a Forest of Thorns weapon. This is interesting. Deal damage to an enemy with a 4% chance to kill them boosted by elemental enemies, not by elemental allies, but by the enemies. So if you're in Nexus, for instance, it might be worth having an extra 16% chance to insta-kill. I don't think I'll ever use it for that purpose, but it is something that you can consider if that appeals to you, or if you just need the weapon for Forest of Thorns. And the rest of these are always here, including this, which was supposed to have been removed in November of last year. Anyway, that is it for the Soulforge video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow for the live stream of Primal Rift. Bye-bye for now!